Welcome to the Ultimate Insurance Agency Podcast, Planet of the Agents. Planet of the Agents. Where we give you the...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Planet of the Agents. I am your host, Dave Baker, and of course, we are going to be talking about running your property and casualty insurance agency. Now, as always, if you want to reach me, if you've got questions, you've got comments, you've got ideas, if you want to just tell me something about your agency, I want you to reach out to me. You can go to planetoftheagents.com, and there you will be able to send me a message and also check out some of my agency resources, which are built by me. I have used my experience to build templates that I have used at an insurance agency to help you gather more business, cross-sell, generate leads, and equally as importantly, be able to easily explain things to your customers, hopefully making your life easier. Now, in today's episode, I want to talk about something that I want to call an unexpected trend. It's something that I'm noticing and that I'm hearing about a lot. What is it? I know you're waiting. Here it is. Why are insurance agencies getting more phone calls again? And what I mean by that isn't just why are people shopping for insurance, etc. What I mean is why are they calling you and not just emailing you, not just texting you? Why does the phone keep ringing? So as you know, if you listen to my show, I work on the wholesale side a lot of the insurance industry, meaning that I work with agents. And when I'm on the phone with an agent, did you catch that? When I'm on the phone with them, because they keep calling me as well, I will often hear them say, oh, there's another call. Oh, I have to get this. Oh, can I call you back? One time after another, I hear the same thing. And it's very interesting because you would think we are moving into a world where people are not using the telephone so much. You know how everybody just loves to text each other? Someone will literally be at your front door and they will text you, I'm here. I mean, seriously, could you not have picked up the phone or call me old-fashioned, but rang the doorbell, knocked on the door? I don't know. But what is it? What is the reason? And how are you going to deal with it? Well, I like to call this the return of the human touch. I think that over the last decade, everything has shifted towards digital technology. Email threads, text reminders, client portals, and of course, apps or applications. I'm sure if you look at your cell phone right now, you have a lot of unused applications that you might not have used for years. You may not even know what you have on there. Very interesting when you take a look at this. But here's the thing. I think today's clients are overwhelmed by their screens, and some people call this digital fatigue. People literally spend 10 to 12 hours a day staring at their screens. Don't you do that? And if you do you like that? How much time can we stare at our screens? You know when you're using your computer and then you go to your cell phone 5 minutes later, it's like you went from the big internet to the little internet. So, what is happening? I think that, number one, like I said, people want a little more of a human touch. Number two, policies possibly could be considered more complicated in the past. Let's be realistic here. Insurance is not generally getting simpler. The process might be a little simpler, although I do have to say we are still using some forms that were probably created 30 or 40 years ago. But generally speaking, the concept is that insurance policies are not getting easier. There are more forms, more exclusions, more endorsements, more things to read. You've got rates going up. You have carriers pulling out of states. You have renewals with different exclusions and modifications. I mean, the world is changing, right? You have underwriting guidelines that tighten. You have deductibles that might be shifting. Coverage forms could be shifting. So when people reach out to you before, they might say, hey, how much is my renewal? And you give them an answer. Today, it's more like, hey, why is my premium going up 35%? Or why is it going up 200%? Or here's one of my favorites. I finally decided to read this, and what are these endorsements? Why is this excluded this year? Was it excluded last year? These aren't all one-sentence answers. So this leads me to number 3, which is what we could call rising client anxiety. Now, this is not always the case. I have actually seen broadened form language, meaning you see language offering more coverage in the policy forms. And by language, of course, I mean, the way the policy form is written. But We also live in a world where people doom scroll. Do you know this expression? It's where people just scroll on their phone. It's just constant negativity. There's a catastrophe in the news. I'm hearing homeowners aren't getting renewed. I'm hearing about all these new things I never worried about in the past. And by the way, if you put your phone down for a few minutes, you might find yourself a little bit more relaxed. But I do understand rates spiking, prices shifting, whether it's non-standard auto clients, whether it's commercial clients, whether it's homeowners worrying that they simply won't get renewed. These concerns are valid, of course. I will say, on a side note, I see less volatility in the commercial insurance market, and you often hear me talk about commercial insurance. So if you are thinking that is something you want to get more involved in, definitely go over to yesbaker.com to get access to carriers, whether they are admitted carriers, online options, surplus lines. Make sure to check out yesbaker.com, spelled YESBAKER.com. But insurance sometimes is an emotional purchase, right? Now, you might be thinking very logically when you think about insurance because you work in insurance all day. It's kind of like when someone tells me about some obscure technology and they say, oh, just enter this line of code, obviously. Well, that's because that person who's telling me that works in technology, okay? So he knows the code, it's memorized. But let's talk about something with the forms of communication. So number 4 on my list that I wanted to address was emails can sometimes get lost in the void. People's emails are sometimes overwhelming. Some people are just drowning in their inboxes. By the way, that's why some underwriters don't respond. Recently, a commercial underwriter who I contacted and said, hey, why does it take you so long to give me a quote? My agents are waiting for the quote. The retail agents, they need these quotes. They've got to get back to the customer. He said, Dave, I'm drinking from the fire hose, okay? I'm just getting bombarded with emails. So I saw this interesting statistic. It's not a hard and fast number. It was just a concept that said unread emails are at an all-time high. Now, maybe some of those are marketing emails or spam and things like that, but it's interesting to hear that. Spam filters, by the way, can also be more aggressive. I have an agent I work with who can't even open some web pages off of his email. It's very interesting to me. So what's the deal? Okay, sometimes people just want to pick up the phone and they want to talk to somebody. The problem for insurance agents is generally they can't take that many phone calls. Some of you have 2, 3, 4, 5,000 clients and you're just a 1 or 2 person operation. How many phone calls can you take? On top of that, you have to actually do business. You have to do sales. You have to perform email customer service. You have so many things to do. I get it. Trust me. The other thing is, what about text messaging? Now, I have found that text messaging feels more efficient, but sometimes text messages get intertwined with these promotional codes and these junk texts. I'm thinking a lot of you have had this experience where you're getting texts that make no sense about some kind of bill or some kind of strange link, and it's not enjoyable. So how can you solve this? It's an interesting thing. Now, part of me wanted to say AI or artificial intelligence. This can answer some basic questions, and it can put a level of, shall I say, obstruction between the phone conversation and the answer. And so what I'm trying to say is that the caller will have a little more trouble reaching you, but the caller might get the answer from an artificial intelligence or AI receptionist. Now, I've actually tried an AI receptionist. It's actually very impressive. I give it some credit. Yeah, it can do some things. It's different than a chatbot. Okay, it's not a chatbot. Someone will call in and the system might say, how can I help you today? And they might say, transfer me to somebody who can send me an insurance application. Well, what if the AI could just automatically respond and say, I can text you a link, or I can send you an application by email, or provide the service you need, or something like, I want to pay my bill. It could respond with, well, what's the name of your carrier? Let me transfer you to the carrier, assuming that's an option with that carrier. But what if it's something more complicated? What if it's like, what coverage do I need for this vehicle I'm renting? Or I'm going to purchase a commercial vehicle, or I'm going to rent a space, or I run a mobile business. Clearly, the AI in general cannot answer that. And people that I've asked prior to making this episode said, well, they don't want to get insurance advice from AI because they realize it's not perfect and there's so many variables, right? Not everyone knows to say, well, what exclusions are common in this state? And by state, I mean literally the state where you're located. Different states have forms, endorsements, exclusions, etc. So, life has become faster. People want immediate answers. Phone calls allow for like instant verification. They can get quick quote updates. You can clarify something quickly over the phone, but you're only a human being. So your agency is probably leaner than it was in the past, unless you're really growing and you are very human centric. If you are able to afford and sustain that, kudos to you, because I know a lot of agents cannot afford to hire as many people as they really need. So if you have reduced staff, a lack of centralized communication forms, this can be an issue. So what are we going to do? First of all, I just mentioned you can have an AI answering service or AI receptionist. This can help a bit. You can send text messages, possibly send emails. It can provide an automated response like, here's our mailing address, our fax number, here's how to change your mortgagee, things of that nature. I consider that something that practically feels like a minimum today, unless you can afford to hire receptionists to take every single call. The other thing, of course, is that AI answering systems can answer a lot of calls all at the same time. And rather than replacing people, we can refocus the efforts of the people on your team. The next option, I would say, is letting customers know, preemptively perhaps, a system for reaching you for customer service. You can say, we have this form on our website. Here are phone numbers you can call for service centers. I think a lot of you are also receiving email messages, that say, call me, I want to talk to someone. And you could have a template, which is something that you can actually find on the website, theagentspot.com, by the way. Yes, a little self-promotion, a little plug there. Check out theagentspot.com for templates. If you had a person email you and say, call me, you could have a response that says something like, we want to make sure to connect you with the correct team member so we can answer the question that you have. Can you give me an idea of what service you need? And they might say something like, well, I just want to make a payment to XYZ carrier. And then you could respond, oh, those payments are processed directly by the company. Here's how you pay online, and here's how you pay over the phone. Many carriers will have automated voice response or IVR, interactive voice response. They will also have people to answer billing questions available for your customers. So keep that in mind. Now, again, that has not been a response by telephone, but you are reducing the need for a phone call. Additionally, I have seen people tell me that, isn't that interesting? I said I've seen people tell me. I've heard people tell me that they get a lot of phone calls for lien holder updates, mortgagee updates, and things of that nature. Now, those are not the customers calling you. Those are the mortgage companies. Those are the lien holders calling you, right? So what do you need to do? You can direct them to the correct party. You can tell them to send you an email with the documentation and that you don't update it by phone. Obviously, if there's an urgent situation, you're going to need to do that. So that's another way to do it. Clients are different when they call you versus a third party calling you. Clients, of course, are looking for some clarity. They want speed. Everybody wants it now. I mean, I could go online right now and order something and it will be here today. It's amazing. But these are things that you will need to reconcile to keep up with all of your potential customers. Now, I do find that some preemptive emails can help as well. You can send an email newsletter telling people certain things that you constantly get asked. Think of the phone calls you get and ask yourself, gosh, is this a phone call I've gotten multiple times where someone's asking me the same type of question over and over again? So if so, what if you were to send preemptive emails to people in the same industry or who have the same type of policy, explaining certain things to them and how you can help them in advance, or how to deal with certain situations when they come up so that they don't call you? This is another thing you can do. I call this a proactive process. For example, during renewals, you might get certain phone calls. So you could proactively send an email. Perhaps you have a template, meaning you could reuse it but customize it as needed, perhaps 60 days or 45 days before the expiration, and explain expected rate changes and market conditions. I think some people in some states are really waking up to the fact that their rates are going to be changing. And it's taken a certain cycle, a certain number of years, but they are at that point. I also like the concept of an automatic status update. What am I talking about? People will say things like, I don't know what's going on with my quote, my certificate, my endorsement, my renewal, etc. I cannot stress this enough. It's important to tell people where you are in the process. Again, you could make a template like, we're still working on this. We're waiting for a response from an underwriter. Your endorsement's been submitted to underwriting. Your COI has been issued. You didn't see it in your email. Your renewal quote's in progress. An underwriter has requested additional information. I know you all love that. The goal of this, the client will call to stop checking in. I think a lot of people are calling just to check in on the status of something. One final idea I want to address is offering online scheduling. You can add a link to your webpage. There are many free types of software where you can do this, and you can include it in your signature or on your website where someone can schedule a phone call with you. Then you will have an expected time to speak with them, and you can allocate your own time as needed. There is one other thing I want to mention. Pre-recorded short videos to explain complicated concepts or why premiums are increasing, right? Why water damage is excluded, why insurers are pulling out of the state, or what to do when you get an inspection. Things of that nature can also help. These are all preemptive moves. The goal of these things is to, of course, reduce your phone calls to things that are very necessary. So keep all of that in mind when you're planning on how to reduce phone calls. Now, make sure to drop a comment below if you can leave comments wherever you're listening or watching to this. More importantly, send me an email on planetoftheagents.com because I want to know your experience so I can address these topics as they come up and I can consider additional ways to help you. So thanks for tuning into this episode of Planet of the Agents. I have more exciting property and casualty insurance agent information coming out. Of course, make sure to go to theagentspot.com where you can find many of the resources that I have created and I have used over the years. Some have been modernized. Some include cross-selling emails, explanatory scripts, cross-selling scripts, things you can use to explain concepts to your customers so that you don't have to keep coming up with a new answer every single time. It's so frustrating to be repetitive. I think all of those things, including standard operating procedures, can make your life easier as an insurance agent. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you like this episode wherever you're watching or listening to it. Yes, watching because it is on YouTube if you prefer that. All right, everyone. Take care.